Welcome everybody to Football Is, and that is what I want's Tales of a Groundhopper. Right then guys, welcome to episode 8 of Football Is, and that is what I want's Tales of a Groundhopper. I'm here with Craig Newton today, the man who loves cheese by all accounts. How are you, mate?
Yes, indeed. Yes, I'm very well.
Good. I've Newton TV, a lot of content on there, mate. A lot of goals, lot of great stuff on there. How did that get started?
Well, I used to like going to watch football, obviously, and I sort of discovered Twitter really and YouTube, and I came across a young lad, you've probably heard of him, Joseph, who does the Groundhopper FC channel.
Yes.
And I started watching him and his videos, and I sort of thought I quite like that, and I enjoyed watching his videos every week, and I thought I wouldn't mind doing that, and so I ended up sending him a message and asking him what he used to record the games and how he went about it, and he very kindly replied and told me what he used, and I thought, when obviously got on eBay and had a look and thought that's quite a reasonable price for that camera. So I bought myself one, and away I went.
The stuff you do, mate, it's brilliant. The goal, I love the goal of the month that you do. It's it gets people involved. It's brilliant. That's what I feel like. That's what our unofficial job is, mate, isn't it? Is to promote non-league as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's quite good. You know, you don't realise how many people support these teams until you actually put one of them on.
Yeah, quite right.
I mean, some of them, they go absolutely mad for it, and you think to yourself, that's not necessarily the best goal out of all of the ones I've put on, but obviously it comes down to the supporters.
Yeah.
And they decide, and if one club's obviously got more supporters involved on Twitter and everything, mainly Twitter I do it on, then they end up, they win. And I did have the 1 month, can't remember what it was, but one of the Littleton lads was in it. And I think the vote finished sort of like about 3-4 o'clock in the morning for some reason. And when I woke up on the Saturday, I got a message on my phone from, I don't know if it was a Littleton manager or the player himself, and he said, "We've won the goal of the month. Can you put it on, please?" So I thought that they knew the result before I did, which was brilliant. But yeah, it's really good. I do like that side of it. That, I mean, I was on Twitter for quite a few years before I realised, before I got into it properly.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, they really do get involved and they love it.
Yeah. It's exposure, isn't it? They use it for all sorts. I've only been doing it a season, Craig, so I'm sort of probably just learning. And you're right. You're so right. The support a lot of these people have for their teams, and it's almost tribal, isn't it? Essentially.
Oh yeah, they're brilliant. Some of the fans are superb. They really are.
Yeah. How long have you been in within non-league? Would you say?
Probably properly, I would say from 2018. Really, I'd say, because I sort of decided.
Yeah.
It was probably 2017. I said to myself, I wouldn't mind trying to do the 92. So I first started sort of doing that.
Yeah.
And I was getting to a few non-league games every now and again because I didn't have transport at the time, so I was basically relying on the trains. So if I could get to a game on a train, I was going.
Yeah.
But then at the end of sort of 2018, I managed to get myself a car, and that was it. Then away I went.
Yeah.
And of course, with discovering Twitter at the same time as well, and the obviously the Groundhopper app that they call it Footballogy now. I discovered that.
Yeah.
And that was it. You get on there, you find a game, then you get onto Twitter and actually make sure it's on. And in some cases, if you're not sure, you send them a message, and 9 times out of 10 they get back to you and say, "Yeah, we're game on," and away you go.
That's the one thing, Craig, isn't it? Actually, is they do respond to you. They're very. You can get in contact with anyone at the clubs, can't you? And they're really good at getting back to you and letting you know what's happening.
Yeah, they usually are. Like I say, I'd probably say 9 times out of 10, maybe even more than that. They generally get back to you, and if you're struggling to actually find the place, you can usually message them and they will tell you how to get there as well, which is very good.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it's amazing what you discover. I mean, I went to the Styleport Swifts once,
Yes.
and the guy who does media is actually the manager.
Oh, Quinton Townsend. Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, and I was like, I haven't actually met him, but he was like, oh, yeah, he's I'm the manager. I do this. I said I do the social media and everything. I said, well, haven't you got enough on your plate worrying about the team? And he's like, yeah. He said, well, we do it all in non-league. That's just how it works. I said, yeah, I know. I said, fair play to you.
Yeah. Nice little ground, isn't it, Southport?
Yeah. I mean, it was devastating when they got flooded.
Yeah.
Really felt for them, and they pulled it round really well.
Yeah.
Obviously, got good to. They'd have been good to go now, and obviously all this has happened.
Yeah, it's what are your thoughts on the cancellation? I like to ask people this because I mean I know I think everybody knows my thoughts. I was furious about it, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I was to start with, and then I sort of sat back and thought about it, and thought, well, they probably have made the right decision. And I was thinking along the lines of, with the player contracts and all that sort of stuff. But then I thought about it a bit more, and I thought, well, most of them, if they want to get out of a club, they're out in 7 days, 2 weeks.
7 days, yeah, so the transfer, yeah.
Yeah. So the contract shouldn't be that much of a problem. So I thought, because they decided in about, it was only about a week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's so quick.
And they said finished. And I mean, I did see they voted unanimously. It was 100% vote to finish it. And I thought it was too early. Everybody else was in and ahhing.
Yeah.
And I thought they went way too early. And a lot of the clubs I've been to see, I mean, there's quite a few of them that are top of their leagues.
Yeah.
And they are a lot of points clear and very likely to go up.
Yeah.
And obviously they've just had it taken away.
Yeah, and do you know something you've said there, mate? And this is what I've been racking my brains about is, and you're completely right. It went to a vote, didn't it? And people voted yes or no to stay.
Yeah, well, from what I read about it, it was representatives from the leagues. So I'm not necessarily sure it was to do with the club so much.
Yeah.
From what I gathered about it was the clubs wanted the season finished, but they wanted to come up with some way of deciding promotions and relegations, basically, and they never got given that opportunity.
Yeah.
They just null and voided it and just didn't give them the chance, and I think that really annoyed them.
I agree, and also they all want it, and they still want the money for the fines, which is something that I can't quite get my head around.
I know that's incredible. I can't get my head around that myself, but. Does it really surprise you?
No, quite right, mate. That's the FA for you, mate. Cloak and dagger
exactly.
And all that.
Yeah.
So how many grounds do you think you've been to then, bud?
I think I was on 97.
Oh, 3 away from the ton.
Yeah, I was creeping towards the ton, and like I said, that week off I was going to have, as soon as lockdown started, I'd have got that up to 100 and probably more.
Yeah. And what would you say? What would you say your plan was at the start? Did you ever think you'd get to the 100, or was it just take it game by game?
Well, I thought it was a possibility. I didn't set it out as a target. I just looked at it and thought, well, I could hit 100 grounds this season.
Yeah.
The one thing that amazed me about this season, to be honest, was last season I did 80 games altogether.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's a hell of a lot of games I did there. Would I be able to get anywhere near it this season?
All right.
And I thought if I started pre-season as early as I possibly could and included them games, I might have a chance of doing it. Now, I got up to 70. So, obviously, if I'd have done those, what did I say it was earlier, 8 games in 7 days, that would have put me on 78. I was going to go to non-league finals day. That would have been the 80.
Yeah.
And then obviously with all the postponements and everything we had with the weather, and obviously looking at what the weather has been like since, I mean, the way it went, I might have got to 100 games.
Yeah. It's
easy.
Quite possible that, definitely.
Because there would have been games Tuesday, Wednesday nights, Friday. I got a couple of Friday night games in just before the lockdown finished, which was
I do love
a
Friday night game. I love Friday night games.
I don't understand why they don't have more of them.
No, me too. Me too. I tell you what, it's so popular. You get more fans there on a Friday, I think.
Yeah, it seemed because the last one I did, I think, was Studley against. I can't remember who they were playing. Something like Chelmsley Town or something like that.
Okay.
And Studley is not a very big place, and they don't have a lot of fans. And the game was played at Redditch.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Their pitch had been waterlogged a lot, obviously with the weather.
Yeah.
And there was quite a lot of fans there. There's probably more fans there than there would have been at actually Studley.
I think that goes back to the whole, the Premier League's on a Saturday, League One, League Two, Championships. So all these fans, looks like they go there, don't they? Whereas opposed to going to their local clubs and having a look at what they've got to offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what would you say with regards to the grounds you've been to? What would you say your favourite one is?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. If we're talking non-league, I would probably have to say, I mean, it's tight. You've got the Victoria ground where Bromsgrove Sporting play. That is a great ground.
Yeah.
And the fans are really good there. But I'd say my favourite, it's not necessarily the best, is the Grove, where Halesowen Town.
I've not gone there yet.
Have you not? Oh, get there as soon as you can, honestly.
Good ground.
I mean, if I've been following them this season, because obviously they made the FA Trophy semi-final.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling they were going to get to the final. So I was looking forward to going to Wembley to see them.
Yeah.
And that would have been amazing.
How big is it? Is it a big ground?
It's quite big. It's pretty much freestanding, two sides. They've got a little stand along the one side of the pitch, which is all seated.
Yeah.
And they've got what they call a shed end behind the goal, which but it's a really nice ground, and it's the fans that do it for me, because they're one of the best set of fans I've come across in non-league.
How important
are they? I'll tell you what, they pretty much sing their heart out all the way through the game, and they've got songs for the players. It's like you're watching the Premier League on the telly. They've got songs for everyone and songs for the club, and it's just, I love the play. I really got behind them this season. I was really hoping they were going to get to Wembley and I could go and see them. And considering they're a level 8 team as well, to get to a Wembley final. I mean, they've taken out 2 National League sides this season.
That's spot on.
And so I just thought they were going to. They're a great club, and the manager there, he's done an amazing job.
The thing is,
they're a pleasure to watch.
Is there a worry with teams like this who do so well that now this season's ended and we all know it got cancelled, that clubs watching how well they performed in the trophy will come and potentially take the players away? Do you think there's that worry perhaps amongst the fans?
Oh, I suppose there could be, yeah. Because they've done amazing. They beat Halifax. Was it FC Halifax, I think, and then they went to Barnet and they beat them as well. So yeah,
that's a hell of a scalp.
Yeah, and I think they're semi-draw. They got Concord Rangers, I think, which is another. I think they're National League North or South. They are.
Yeah,
is it South? Yeah, so they're 2 steps above them, but they've taken out teams from the league above them. So I know they weren't worried about it. They were not worried about it at all. They were quite happy to take them on. And from what from what I've heard, the FA, they do want to try and finish it for them, which will be amazing. Yeah. Really good. But yeah,
I think the pressure almost goes on Concord, I think, in a game like that, because like you said, they've knocked out so many teams come along the way that Concord, in the back of their minds, it's always there, isn't it? Are we next?
Absolutely.
In this story?
And I know I that was one of the games I got earmarked for that week off, but I couldn't get a ticket. They put the tickets on sale, and I couldn't get one because you had to go to the club to buy one. And Halesowen's it's about 40, 45 miles away from me.
Oh, bloody hell.
And I couldn't get there. I did message them and say, is there any chance you can bung me some? And they were like, oh no, you got to come to the club.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. And they flew out. I think they sold well over 3,000.
That's incredible.
And they were all buzzing for that game. They really were.
It's a shame,
And of
isn't
course,
it?
it all finished.
And that's the problem. That's the after effect of this virus, is that clubs like that are going to suffer, aren't they? If they don't play the semi-final final, I mean, the revenue they're going to miss out on is just silly, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Although, to be fair, I've seen a lot of the fans say, don't give us the money back, keep it for the club.
That's good. That's
But
brilliant.
yeah, the more that do that, the better, obviously. But obviously, not everybody will be able to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shame, but I really do hope they get to play.
Yeah,
it.
it'd be good.
Because I'd love to see them at Wembley. It'd be great.
Yeah, they'll take a following there.
They certainly will. I think they took about 500 up to Barnet.
Crikey,
So
that's a lot. Are you?
Yeah.
So I can see on the people can't see this, but I can. You're a Villa fan.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
What are your thoughts on the Villa this season?
Wow. I thought they were doing all right, but just before all this, we got locked down. I mean, what was the last Sky TV game? I think that was Leicester against Villa, and they did us about 4-0.
Yeah.
We weren't doing well. The defence seemed to be all over the place. But I don't know. I know they've got it in them to stay up.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm not sure whether they're going to do it or not. Time will tell.
First game back, aren't they?
Yes, from what I saw earlier, they're starting on June the 17th, aren't they?
With Sheffield United, that'll be a big game. That will.
That is a big game, and considering what happened last season with a 3-3,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'd probably take that when that comes back.
They've been such a shock in the Premier League, haven't they? Sheffield United. I just can't get my head around it. I don't know what he's doing there. I don't know what Chris Wilder's done. I don't know if he's made the deal with the devil. I don't know what he's done, but they're brilliant. The football they're playing is spot on. The attitude of the players is immense, and I think, do you know what? I think that's half the battle, isn't it? If you've got the right attitude in the squad, you're on your way, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll tell you. It surprised the Premier League. It didn't surprise me as much.
No,
because I've seen it. Obviously, when we were in the Championship last season, I watched a lot of Sheffield United.
Yeah,
and I saw them when they started off. Actually, I think I went to Swindon, and they were playing Sheffield United, and they beat them 4-2. And Chris Wilder had not long become the manager.
Yeah,
and just sitting there watching them, I thought they look like they know what they're doing. They look like they know what he wants, and they've got a set system of how to play. And even when they went up to a Championship, they still played the same way. They all looked like they knew what they were doing. Even when he made subs, that didn't make any difference. Everybody knew what was wanted, and they just played that way.
Yeah.
And of course, when they went up, everyone was like, I mean, even I thought a little bit, is he going to carry on playing like that? Because it would be quite brave. I thought it would be a shock to Premier League, because they'll probably look at it and think Sheffield United long ball team. They are far from a long ball team. They play a brilliant passing game. Really, really good.
Yeah.
And he stuck to it. And it's not surprised me how well they've done. It surprised me how high up the table they are.
Yeah, that's a good. So to be fair, that is a good point. That is, I completely agree.
Because
with that.
when they all went up last season, I did think to myself, this might be a season where all three teams will stay up. And to be honest, I thought the only one who might struggle would probably be Villa. I thought Norwich and Sheffield United would be absolutely fine, and I thought Villa would be the ones who'd struggle, but we'd just stay up.
Yeah.
But obviously, not Norwich haven't had the best time of it, although mathematically they still could stay up. Obviously, Villa are struggling, but I think they've got it in them to, stay up. It's just
Definitely
whether they actually do it or not.
I'll tell you what's going to be massive for you guys. I don't know if he's. I believe he's on his way back. Is McGinn will be back, won't he? Is he fit yet?
Yes. It looks like it is. I've seen pictures of him in training.
Massive.
I think a lot of the fans are pinning their hopes on him.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player.
When he and Grealish play together, they do seem to hit it off quite well.
Yeah, I like him.
And I suppose while he was in the team at the start of the season, we weren't doing too bad, to be fair.
No.
It started going downhill a bit when he went out.
You need that star player. I mean, you've got Grealish. Grealish is the he's the talisman, of course. But you need that player who drives the team. And you watch McGinn, and he does that, doesn't he? He does just that.
Oh, he's like your non-league midfielder terrier. He just does not stop running.
Yeah.
The ball's going somewhere, he's chasing after them, he's nipping at their ankles, and if he gets the ball off them, they can't get it back off him. He's quite a unique player to watch because he sticks his backside out.
Yeah,
and they can't get around him to get the ball, and it's so good to watch.
Scotland, I tell you, Scotland have got some players coming through, haven't they? To be fair, in that midfield.
Well, yeah, and I'll give Steve Bruce his due. If it was down to him for bringing in McGinn, then fair play to him because some of his signings were quite questionable. But that one was brilliant for a couple of £1 million, I tell you.
What would you say with regards to football? It can be anywhere. Who would you say your favourite player is that you've watched live?
It's a tough. Well, I will probably have to say Grealish.
He is quality. He is quality. I'll give you that. He's something else, isn't he?
He's majestic, and the way he's grown up over the last couple of years. I mean, he's bulked himself out with a muscle and made himself a lot harder to knock off the ball. But they still. I mean, I remember watching one game. What was it? Probably a couple of seasons ago. Villa against Cardiff. Neil Warnock's Cardiff.
Yeah. Oh.
And all game long, I mean, we all know what Warnock's like. Get into him, and they were getting into him at every opportunity. He just kept getting back up and laughing at them.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes from last season with Birmingham, doesn't it? With that when that fan got on the pitch.
Oh, that was.
And he got up. He made nothing about it. He just got up, went up the other end, scored the winner. I mean, that's all you want, isn't it?
Yeah, and the interview at the end made me laugh when they asked him about it. I think the first thing he said was, "I've scored the winning goal in a Birmingham derby," and they said, "Well, what about this idiot that came on the pitch?" He said, "Oh, I don't care about that. We've won the game, and I scored the winner. It's my childhood dream, you know." And he just laughed about it because when it happened, like most people, I would imagine, thought, "What the hell's going on there? Is it real?" You know?
Yeah.
It didn't seem. I mean, I don't know what the guy was thinking, but
no, and the thing for me as well, it's a derby day. The stewards have got to be held accountable there because it's a game where emotions are riding extremely high, and you get some idiot. And it's not the first time in a Villa Birmingham derby that a fan has got on the pitch and gone at one of the players, is it? You know, Enkelman. I remember Enkelman getting it a few years ago in the derby. So you look at it and you just think, what are the stewards doing? Have they taken their mind off the off the boil a little bit? I don't know, but one thing that I like about Grealish for me, and take away this this mistake he made during lockdown is the way he's mature, his maturity on the field. He's matured so much as a footballer on the field. His play, like I watched him a few years ago, and he was a young lad trying things, trying the perfect ball, the perfect shot. He's a grafter now, isn't he? And he works hard for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think Dean Smith pulled a masterstroke, making him the captain.
Yeah.
Of course, I think it was we're just coming up to January transfer window, and there was all that talk about Tammy Abraham going to Wolves. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And apparently, Jack Grealish said to him, "Don't go there because I'm coming back from injury, and me and you are going to get Villa promoted." And he sort of ummed and ahed about it, and of course he ended up staying. And then of course Grealish didn't come back for quite a while afterwards, and Tammy Abraham was raging about it. He said, "Well, you told me you were coming back sooner than you were." And he was like, we ain't going up at this rate. And apparently Grealish said to him, "Look, I'm going to be back for," I think it was a derby game. And he said, "We've got 12 games." He said, "And we're going to fire us up and you see what happens." And of course, they went on that ridiculous 10-game winning run, which was quite unbelievable.
Smith did a great job there because, I mean, you're quite right. When he took over, they'd hit. I don't know what had happened. The wheels had come off, hadn't they, with Bruce? And it just seemed to, as soon as Smith went there, it seemed to click straight away. The players knew what they had to do. Bringing in Tyrone Mings, fantastic signing for you last season. So strong at the back.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, he was needed as well because that's what Bruce left us short of at the start of the season. I think we had one centre back left, and I think it was, if I remember rightly, it was James Chester, and he was playing through injury.
Yeah, of course.
of course, when he went out, we were basically knackered then. So thank God for the January transfer window, and Tyrone Mings was a very good signing because when he come in, I'd heard of him, but I didn't really know a lot about him. I thought he was a left back. And of course,
he was. He started
Yeah.
at left back for Ipswich. Well, he wasn't. He was in non-league first, but
yeah,
he did play at left back for Ipswich. You're right.
yeah, and then he put him in centre defence, and he was brilliant. I mean, we were still making mistakes, but because it's a championship, you don't necessarily get punished for them. And I think that's one of the things Villa have learnt this season, because when they've made mistakes, we've more often than not been punished, and that's why we're in the relegation zone, unfortunately. But
that's the Premier League, isn't it? If you make a mistake, you do get punished.
Yeah, and it's happened so many times, and it's a shame for them, really. But they'll learn from it, or hopefully they learn from it, and hopefully this break will do them the world of good, and they'll come back and, I don't know, maybe go on another 10-game winning run.
we can hope, Craig.
We can certainly hope, because the teams they got to play, I'll tell you what, it'd be incredible.
Like you said, though, mate, anything can happen in football. Anything can happen.
Absolutely.
What would you say? Would be your longest distance that you've travelled for a game?
Oh, goodness me. Well, I know it's over 100 miles, but let me think where I've been. Went to Woking last season and saw them win their playoff final.
Oh, that was a good game.
Yeah, so that's quite a trek. I think where have I been? Wales. I've only been to Newport in Wales. Up north, what have I done up north? Leeds, Sheffield United, Wigan. I don't know. So not too far, but far enough.
Still travelling. That's yeah. I think that's the thing in the English game. I mean, I was saying to my wife, there's so many grounds in England that I've not been to. There's and there are, yourself, Craig, in non-league there are thousands of clubs. Aren't there? They're all over the place.
It feels like there's thousands in the Midlands.
It does. You're completely right there, mate. You're completely right there. With regards to fans that you've seen, who are the best? Who are the best fans, you'd say?
Fans, I'd just say Halesowen. They just about beat the Bromsgrove lot. They're both really good. Like I said, went to, how many times I've been to Halesowen? Twice this season, I think I've been to. Evesham United had them in the FA. That was in the FA Trophy, actually. They drew with them 1-1 at our place, took them back to Halesowen and got spanked about 3-0, I think. But their fans, they just keep singing. And there was another game they played Yaxley.
Oh, really?
And they just didn't stop through that game either, constantly singing. And I went and watched them. I even went and watched them away at, I think it was Daventry Town. And they probably took about 30 or 40. And, I mean, they weren't as loud at that game, but the second half, I went in with them in the second half because I thought, well, it was looking like Halesowen were going to turn it up and get the game won. So I thought I'll get behind the goal and see what they're like. And when they've got a good away following as well.
That's good.
So yeah, I'd probably say they're the best. But the Bromsgrove lot are really good as well, but they seem to be more second half team when they're attacking their shed end at their ground. But yeah, I'd say Halesowen.
They make the game, don't they, fans? If you get the right set of fans, you're laughing, aren't you?
Oh yeah, because you just don't expect it so much at non-league. I mean, when you get into it, you learn about it, but you don't expect it to be like that. And they're a great lot. I mean, there was another game as well earlier in the season. I think that was an FA Cup replay. It was Gloucester City against Whitby.
All right.
And I think they'd drawn 1-1 at Whitby on the Saturday, and the replay was a quick turnaround on the Monday. And Whitby, but they'd come up with, they'd only got 14 players. There was a right back playing up front for them. Two of the substitutes were goalkeepers. And I didn't give them a hope in hell. I mean, if you happen to go back and watch the video, I think I predicted something like a 4-0 win for Gloucester. and Whitby beat them 3-1.
That's incredible.
It was incredible. And I went in with their fans in the second half, and they were hilarious. Some of the stuff they were saying, I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, the referee seemed to be really picky during the game. And I think their chairman was in with the fans,
I love that. I love
or
that
like
when
an
you do
owner or something, and he was shouting at the ref, come on, referee, news at 10's going to be on in a minute, get on with it.
that.
And they were just so funny.
That's what you like,
But
isn't it?
that's what I love about it, because like, you get to hear things like that. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily get that at the bigger games. I
No.
mean, you get the idiots round just shouting out stupid things all the time. But the
Yeah.
non-league games, some of the stuff they come out with is absolutely hilarious.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I mean, I'm sure as I go back through the all the highlights, I will pick out some moments, and they will go in the highlights video, no doubt, for the season. And
Yeah.
they'll just pop up, and you think to yourself, I don't remember that. That's hilarious.
I'm the same as you, mate. I'm completely the same. There's stuff I'm looking at my footage, and I'm like, well, I don't remember that happening. I don't remember that goal. I don't remember seeing that, and I don't. It's
Yeah.
That's the good thing about keeping hold of your footage, isn't it? You can go back and I had a good sort of couple of nights looking at all the games, thinking, oh, I saw some stunners here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been going because have you heard of Dan and Tom, Two Men in Search of a Beautiful Game?
Yes.
Yeah. So of course I follow them, and I'm on their page on the Facebook. So when this all started happening, I put a post on there, said something like, obviously I've been to 70 games this season. Would anyone be interested if I basically go back through the back catalogue and post them up on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, your main football days? And quite a few of them went, yeah, go for it. So of course I've been going back through all the games, putting them on, and every time I put one on, I've watched it back.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of the things you hear in the background from what people say, you didn't realise what they'd said at the time, and you hear it, it just makes you laugh.
No, I completely agree. Completely agree with you with that.
It's great.
I mean, we talk about the positive side of the game. We'll go to the negative side now. What would you say the worst thing you've witnessed on your travels would be?
Oh God, I don't think there is anything. Well, there's certainly not anything in non-league.
That's good. That's good to hear.
I had a youth game just before it all started. See if I can find out. I think it was Evesham United against Lye Town. I think it was the under-18s. Now, I didn't hear it, but apparently there was some. I don't know if it was a racist comment or some kind of racism, because when the game finished, one of the Lye Town lads come over from off the bench and just started having a go at one of the Evesham lads.
Yeah.
Or something, I think it was. And they had a little bit of a do over it. And funnily enough, the Starport Swifts, not Lye Town, beg your pardon. Because Quentin got in touch with me and he said, have you got any video footage of it?
Oh, right.
And I said, no, I've only basically got what's on the video. And he was like, did you hear anything about it? I said, all I heard was somebody said something about racism, and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't actually hear it. I know where it stemmed from, because there was a bit of a tasty tackle that went in. And I don't know if something was said in that moment or not, but it was on the other side of the pitch, so I certainly didn't hear it.
Yeah.
But no, apart from that, it's all been hunky-dory. It's been great. The worst thing I've seen probably in football full stop was a Villa Birmingham game. And we're going back quite a few years. You'll probably remember it, the Dion Dublin Robbie Savage headbutt.
Oh God, how could I forget that?
That was probably worse, because what kicked off in the stands when that happened was I'd never seen anything like it before.
Oh really?
Just basically Villa fans fighting each other.
Oh right, okay.
They just started, and I mean, because I think we were 2-0 down at the time. Of course, well, Steve Bruce was their manager as well.
Yeah.
And they always had our number, Birmingham.
I was just about to say, when they first come up, they always seem to get the result against you, didn't they?
They had about 10, 12 games, and we couldn't get near them. Jeff Horsfield and Enkelman and Steve Bruce and David Dunn and all of that. And when that happened, I just remember this one Villa. I'm assuming he was a Villa fan. He was an absolute brick. About 6 foot wide and 10 foot tall, stood in basically like one of the exits. And I just remember this guy going up towards him, just punched him in the face for no reason.
It's ridiculous.
And he just stood there like nothing had happened. I mean, it did give me a little bit of a giggle, but you looked all around you. And I'm thinking Doug Ellis stand on the right of the hole. I looked at it at one point, and it looked like it was falling down. So I don't know what the fans were doing,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it just looked like a wave coming down. So I had no idea what was going on there, but that's probably the worst thing I've ever seen. And funnily enough, after that game, I vowed never to go to one again, but I lied because I have been.
But that's what football does to you, though, mate, isn't it? I've been to so many games where I thought I'm never going here again after this, but then you think, oh, one more will do. And I tell you what I wanted to touch on is Robbie Savage.
Yeah.
Absolute pillock. He's an absolute pillock, but you'd have him on your team because of just what he does to the opposition players.
Oh,
You're guaranteed to get something, aren't you, with Robbie Savage on your team?
absolutely. I hated him as a player. Absolutely hated him, but I quite like him now. I'm always listening to him on the old 5 Live, and he tells it how it is. And he does make me laugh. I do like listening to him because he says it as it is, and he does like a good argument with people.
What would you go on?
He still knows even now how to wind people up the wrong way.
And that's half the battle again, isn't it? If you've got people where you want them.
Absolutely. Excuse me.
What would you say your funniest memory is with regards to your travels there?
Goodness me, funniest memory. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is a game I almost missed because of the fog. And I think it's someone close to your art. I was going to Bewdley Town. Have you ever been there?
Oh, Bewdley, yeah.
Right, so
I've been past it.
Yeah, so you've seen the turn in to get into the ground, yeah?
Yes.
Right, well, when it's foggy, you can't see it. And I was going up and down the road to the side of it for it must have been about 20 minutes. I must have gone up and down 4 or 5 times. And of course, I got the Groundhopper app on, and it kept saying, "You've arrived at your destination." And I was thinking, no, I haven't. Where is it? And I kept driving past. Well, there's a ground down there. How on earth do I get down there? Have I got to drive off a cliff, basically? And eventually, every time I was going back up and down, there was always a car behind me, so I just kept going past. And I think it was meant to be a 7:30 kickoff for some strange reason. And it got to 20 past. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to miss it. I've never missed a kickoff. And I was just going up the road really slowly. Luckily, there was no car behind me. And I suddenly thought, oh, it seems to be a bit of a gravel track going off here. I'll go off down here. And then I found it, thank God, eventually. And then they were playing, actually, someone I've heard you mention, the Wolves Geezars.
Oh, yeah, the Geezars.
They played them, and they put paid to their unbeaten record this season.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, because I think they're the only teams that the Geezars lost against home and away was Bewdley, wasn't it?
Was that the only game?
Yeah,
I didn't realise that.
They lost 2 games all season. I think it was against them, both of them times. So.
Oh, right. I knew they were unbeaten coming into the game. And, of course, when I've been listening back over these other podcasts you've done, which have been superb, by the way, I've been a great listen.
Thank you very much.
And I've heard you keep mentioning them, and I was thinking to myself, was that the team I watched who played Bewdley? And I couldn't remember. And just before we come on air, I went back through the videos, and it was. That's who it was. And
Spot on.
I can see what you mean about they're a good team to watch. They were quite unfortunate to lose it, to be fair.
I agree with you. They're a good team, aren't they? And they play football the right way.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that pitch was awful that night, but they still tried to play.
Yeah,
and it was 0-0 at half time, but the Bewdley keeper had to make 2 brilliant saves to keep it 0-0. I'll tell you, and they just got lucky with the goals in the second half. And to be fair, the Geezars keeper had to make a few decent saves as well. It was a very good game.
That's what you want, isn't it? An end-to-end game like that.
Yeah, oh yeah, they didn't stop. I mean, the best one I saw for that was just before this finished, actually. Where did we go? Let me think. It was North Lee. Who did they play? North Lee against Coleshill Town. It was a 2-2 draw. But that was probably by far the best game I've seen this season, because right from the whistle, they just both basically went at each other's throats.
Oh, really?
It was ridiculous. And the tackles were flying. There was one spell of play, and I was devastated I didn't get it on video because it sort of started happening, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And by the time it had finished, I thought, why wasn't I recording it?
Oh,
Because
it's classic error in it. The first thing you think when you miss something is, why wasn't the red button on for that moment?
Yeah, because it was just this tackle went flying in, and he put the player up in the air, and he got up, he went on. Somebody else put him up in the air. All the players were screaming, "Ref, that's got to be a foul." No, play on, get on with it. Someone else got put up in the air. Another tackle went in. You were watching it thinking, oh my God, there's about 4 yellow cards and 2 red cards there. And the refs just stood there going, play on, get on with it. And all the players, they were just getting up. They were having a little moan, and then they were chasing after the guy with the ball again. And it was just such... I said to me mate who came with me, I think it was Andy Grantham come with me that night. He said, even though it's only sort of been a 2-2 draw, he said, this is probably he said, I'll go as far to say this is the best game I've ever seen in my life. He said, it's been incredible. I said, it has. I said, I don't remember seeing a game like this in ages. It was brilliant.
That's what you want, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, superb.
I think, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, Craig. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed talking. I don't get to talk much Villa, actually, because I don't know many Villa fans. I've got one mate who likes the Villa, and that's it. So it's been nice to talk about the Villa.
Then.
And also,
another one then.
You've got my head turned about Halesowen. I'm going to have to make sure I go see them next season when the season starts again, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's a few. Halesowen and another one, Malvern Town.
Yes, I want to go see Malvern as well, definitely.
Get over there as well, yeah. And if you like your food, Fairford Town.
Fairford. I'll have to write these down, mate. Well, if I don't, Daz definitely likes his food.
Oh, yeah, Fairford Town. Probably the best food I've had in non-league. Absolutely brilliant.
Spot on. Well, look, appreciate you coming on, mate. I've really enjoyed it. It's been good to catch up with another person who I've spoken to a lot on Twitter and actually got a face to the name now. So hopefully hopefully our paths will cross when the new season comes.
I do hope so.
And we'll
hope so.
We'll certainly share a drink and have a chat.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Well, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you. And as always, mate, we'll definitely have you back on when the season gets back on, as long as you're happy to come back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, why not? Love it. It's brilliant.
Spot on.
Fingers crossed it all comes back as soon as possible.
Yeah, quite right, mate. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, Craig. You take care, mate, and stay safe, okay?
Yeah, and you and everybody else stay safe as well. Thank you very much.
Take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.
There we have it then, guys. That was Craig there from Newton TV with his tales of Halesowen and Aston Villa. Some really good stories there, as I'm sure you'll all agree. Really looking forward to releasing this to you all. Really do appreciate him coming on tonight and speaking all things football with us. As always, guys, please remember to take a look at us on all forms of social media. Football is and that is what I want on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook, and it's @FootballWant on Twitter. As always, take care, stay safe, be thinkers, not stinkers. Sayonara, au revoir.